welcome to Gary's Classics, the final part of the XR2 restoration. This is the interesting part where we apply the paint and start assembling everything back together after all the hard work that's been done over the last 3.5 months. So this is the best bit for me, and let's move forwards. So finally the car is all ready for top coat. All the black's masked off, all the edges are masked off, all the underneath masked off. So the next stage is to make myself an engine spray booth and then get the car painted.
So we're ready for paint. Here's my selection of paint and base coat and lacquer ready for the top coat. First stage is to make myself a booth. This is an anti-static sheeting by 3M, even though it has 5M on it, but it's quite good and it's reasonable value at about 25 quid a roll, and there's a lot on it. So I managed to tape it up and staple it to the ceiling. Bit difficult, but okay to do.
So this is where the fun starts. First coat of silver. Very difficult to paint silver and not get any stripes in. I haven't painted metallic for very many years. Moving on to a second coat and was quite chuffed with the results. The paint laid down really well and I just followed the instructions on the can for the mix, 2:1. Really impressed. I had my air conditioning unit blowing in to give heat and the small extract fan in the corner to extract.
So now with the lacquer applied, and I got a great finish. However, one schoolboy error, didn't put any boarding on the floor, so every time I moved, because the stickiness of the lacquer lifted my sheeting up and caused me a right pain in the backside, but got over it soon enough and was really happy with the results.
So this is now a video of when I put the second coat of lacquer on. As you can see, got a really good finish and there was no runs at this current moment. Unfortunately, when I put the third coat on, I did get a couple of little runs just off the swage line, but managed to block them out with my block and wet and dry during the polishing process. The finish is really good considering I've done it in a domestic garage with just a little air conditioning unit for some heat and a small extract fan. But overall, very impressed with the results, as you can see. So finally, once painted and unmasked from the spray booth, I had a real treat. Pushed the vehicle outside eventually, but the results were fantastic considering I'd done this in a domestic garage with only a cheap spray gun. As you can see, the finish was fantastic from the spray gun, but I did want to flatten polish it to get it a little bit smoother, although I do like the original sort of look of orange peel. Once I got the outside done, I started assembling the front. New shock absorbers, all my ancillaries painted. I have since put new discs on as well. Outside looks really good in the sunlight, which I was really chuffed with. And quite a few of the neighbours were impressed with the paint finish considering I'd done it in the garage. Bit of a difficult thing painting at home, so I have to pick my times when there's no one about because it's not fair on the neighbours. But as you can see, the finish was unbelievable. The lacquer I got from my local paint shop was really good and I've never used it before, but again, just followed the instructions on the can and I got a great mix. Did have a couple of little runs in it which I've managed to flatten polish out, but nothing too major. That was on the third coat of the lacquer. If I'd have kept 2 coats, probably would have been okay, but then I wouldn't have had enough lacquer on to flat off. Things were really moving forwards now, and it was now to unmask and show the 2 definitions between the black and the silver, which look fantastic. So finally getting somewhere, all the interior painted so it looks like new, and I was really impressed with that. This is a stage where I was now partly flattened and polished the car and got a great result. Really impressed with the lacquer kit. It was a local supplier that I got my paint from and I've never used it before. Just followed the instructions and got a great finish, so I would highly recommend it. Next I started painting all the ancillary items. This is the brake bar. I painted silver and then covered it with a white grape colour, which gave me the golden finish. Also cleaned the brake master cylinder reservoir up, which come up really good considering it's 30 years old. The brake master cylinders are very difficult to get, so I had to get a repair kit from SB Parts, which was a great supplier and really helped me along the way with any items I needed. Again, these are just the ancillary items I painted. The bonnet catch, again with the white grape paint over silver. The more you put on, the better the colour is. Did the same with the brakes, because I didn't want to get them anodised because it never lasts, so I decided to paint them. It should come out really good. These are all the old calipers cleaned up and coated and then lacquered. Same with the servo. These are difficult to get on the Fiestas, so I stripped mine, checked it over. It has like a plastic coating, but managed to get all that off and paint it black like the original. Moved on to the headlamps. These were really good, so I just decided to mask the stickers up and repaint them black to freshen them up and make sure all the adjusters were clean and working, which was great. And I got a real good result on that from the rattle can. Gearbox was the next thing. This is a picture before, very, very oily and dirty. One of my worst jobs I hate doing. But after half an hour or so, managed to get most of it off with some brake cleaner and cleaned it up. Then I stripped the engine down. This was a bit of a horror. Didn't expect this. Crankshaft was worn, unbelievable. Even though it did have no oil light, the oil light flickering on and off, I didn't think it would be so bad. And took it down to my local engine builder, Andy at Strigley Engineering, who'd confirmed the worst. It needed a rebuild. This is the thrust washer, which was actually flattened and turned over on itself.
So this is a picture of the main end bearing, as you can see, heavily worn, obviously due to lack of oil change in the past. This is also the cylinder head, which is off a late model, which is a lean burn type, which has a bird beak, which I've now changed for hemispherical, which will give me a little bit more compression. So as you can see from this picture, it had a burnt out valve, so good job I took the head off and investigated, and enrolled in the bin and the replacement sourced.
Finally cleaned the sump up, which was quite heavily corroded, but managed to get most of the rust off and treated it with rust treatment, along with the rocker cover, the bottom pulley wheel, spotlight brackets and alternator brackets. These all then got primed in grey before being coated in either silver, Stratos, colour of the vehicle, or black, satin from the aerosol. Although I did do the rocker cover with the proper spray gun and got a great result. Out came all the wires and my washing line appeared again, ready for painting all these auxiliary items. Even the sump came okay with about 5 or 6 coats of primer and blocked down, got rid of most of the pitting. Finally got the engine back from the engine builders, full rebore, crank shells, replacement crank, oil pump, and just cleaned and painted. And then all I had to do was put the sump on and the auxiliary items, water pump, bottom pulley, adjuster, etc. Then loaded it onto my trolley so I could put the clutch on and the gearbox with the new oil seals, new oil, and all the bolts cleaned up and greased. It's made life a bit easier for moving around the garage because it's very heavy being cast iron. Finally got it in the engine bay, bit of a tricky job on your own, but managed it. The next stage was to build the cylinder head, so I got a replacement head crosshatch off a later XR3, which is a hemispherical combustion chamber, and also bought new inlet and exhaust valves. At the same time, I decided to treat myself and put a Kent R Sports 1 cam in, which will give me a bit more performance, approximately 15 brake horsepower out the box. Also, with the addition of the 1300cc pistons in, I got quite a good compression and it pulls very, very well. So finally the engine was in the car with all the auxiliary items on, water in, oil in, ready for a run. Took a bit of time to get the oil pressure up, but eventually got it up and had it running in no time. Finally fitted the air filter and all the other bits that were needed to be on. My new stickers, just touched up the brake pipes green where I needed to, and hey presto, had a running car. Next was the interior trim, which I'd already previously cleaned, so it was a matter of just applying them back into the car. Rear seats were in such a good condition, I don't think they've ever been sat on or very little use. Front seats were also really good, only very little wear on the driver's seat, but got the valeting machine out and gave them a quick going over to get any muck off, and then did the second coat once we were in the car, just on the bits I'd missed, which I didn't see. Really impressed by now, felt like I was moving forwards and ready for the road. Eventually got the bumpers on, new sticker on the boot lid, because I did end up painting the roof and the boot lid at the end because the paint was slightly out. But what a car now, really impressed. Got my spot lamps off a chap off eBay, a hefty sum, but really set the vehicle off. These are just images now with all the stripes on, ready for waiting for my new number plates to arrive. And then all the lights checked. The only problem I had was with one indicator, and I missed bolting an earth on, which caused the indicator to flash or not flash and the side light flash. As you can see from what I've done in the garage, it's pretty good and I'm quite chuffed. Even though I'm just a home restorer, I get great results with a bit of time and just my experience. Everything detailed where I can, stickers where I can off eBay, and all the underneath detailed. I have since changed the exhaust back boxes. I didn't like that, which has been on one of my previous videos. But there's nothing more satisfying than looking under the car once you've done it all and seeing it all clean and all in body colour, and get some real good comments. Not that many people do look underneath, but at least I know it's all done properly. Here's where I just got my new number plates from the supplier off eBay. These were the original dealers that were in Kent where the vehicle was originally registered. So this is the first show I attended, St Catherine's Hospice, and got a really good reception. Everybody loved it, which was great to hear, because I was a bit unsure being an 80s Ford and never been in that sort of circle before. Second show was Charity Farm. Again, got a great reception, talked to some fellow XR2 owners. But that was the best part, of just getting out and about in the car after all the hard work and having very little problems. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my restoration of my Fiesta XR2, and hopefully I can upload some stuff of my Sunbeam Imp, which I had done many years ago, approximately 18 now. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you like and subscribe, which will be great. Finally, I'd just like to thank Shane at SB Parts for all his help with the second-hand parts, and Andy at Shrigley Engineering for the engine rebuild. I'll also put the link in the end of this, hopefully. One thing to bear in mind when buying one of these vehicles, there is a lot of corrosion, so do your research. I found a website which gave me good knowledge of what should be in and what shouldn't be, original trim, etc, etc, what was an option and what wasn't, which I'll try and put a link in. But if you're only a home restorer, only buy what your skills will allow you to do and don't go beyond them. There's still a lot of good cars out there, and there are also a lot of bad cars, so pick your vehicle wisely. Otherwise you could end up with a right nightmare. Anyway, thanks again and see you soon.